Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's Monster Chappy. We're here for the first part of the free offensive ebook, which we're going to call Super Custom. And, first things first, you got to have a solid depth chart and I'll give you a rough idea of a team or some of the teams you can use. Like I said, with regular teams, all those teams I listed as my favorite personal teams to use, you can use all those teams and you can use it with just about any team, but there is a couple things you want. One is a somewhat mobile quarterback. You want at least 70 speed. And then otherwise, you want a accurate quarterback and some good throw power. Definitely good to have. A really good running back is going to be a necessity. DeMarco Murray is one of the best in the game. You can definitely get by with others. I also run a 2 to 3 back system depending on what team I'm using. And you're going to want to do that because you're going to want to make sure you keep your running backs fresh. If they are not fresh, they're more likely going to fumble. They're more likely going to get caught, get tackled, and break less tackles, fall forward less. Just you want to have green. You want to have fresh running backs. Now, for your wide receivers, your fullback does not matter for this scheme. The only play that the fullback may be in is in goal line. That's about it. Otherwise, your fullback means nothing. Now, for your wide receivers, for your outside two wide receivers, you want to have face catchers. You want to have big bodies. You want to have really good wide receivers. So the Dez Bryants, the Calvins, and whatnot, those guys are going to be the ones you want to have. Now, do you want your guy at the 1 or the 2 spot? I think that's going to depend on you, where you want your best wide receiver. Personally, in Mutt, I have Vincent Jackson and Chris Matthews, so it's not an issue. Or you could go like, Mike Evans or whatever the case may be. Any combination of 2 wide receivers would be great. But most times in regular teams, you're only going to have one guy. So it depends what you prefer as far as the formations. I'll explain that a bit more. It depends if you prefer the pistol or if you prefer like the shotgun and the single back, and I'll show you why throughout the guide. And then your tight end, usually you want to have, we use our 2 tight ends. We use 2 tight end system for some of the plays. And really, some of the stuff you want to look at is speed, height, strength, catching, how good they are after the catch. And then definitely another stat that, not all tight ends have is going to be their run blocking and their impact blocking. So right now we're going to put in Hannah over Escobar. Although Escobar is 6'6", the height thing isn't a super big deal. So for me in Mutt, I prefer Mike Ditka over Gronkowski. Even though Gronkowski is an absolute monster, he fits the scheme especially well. I use Delaney Walker as my second tight end, and you sometimes will use your third tight end. So you want somebody decent there, usually a pretty solid run blocker, and somebody that can maybe get mobile too. But I have Donald Penn as my third tight end, and then as far as your O-line, just get dudes that have good blocking. Make sure your right guard and your left guard are decently mobile. Now that's not going to be the case with most regular teams, but in Mutt, you definitely have the option to get dudes that have like 70 speed, good acceleration, and run blocking, pass blocking, and impact blocking are the only 3 stats you need to look at. The other stats mean absolutely nothing. So all you need to look at is run block, impact block, and pass block again to judge if you have a quality lineman. So that's pretty much it for the personnel. Now I'll kind of look at what I was talking about as far as the wide receivers. So if you're in single back like dice slot, as you can see, your number 2 receiver is going to be on the left. But if you go to the pistol, for many of the formations, your number 1 wide receiver is outside on the left. And the reason that's important is because it's a little bit easier to face catch on the left side. You can definitely do it on the right, but it's a little bit easier to do it on the left, and a lot of people prefer to do it on the left. And so I've kind of adjusted the scheme for this and with that in mind. And then if you go to shotgun, as you're going to see, depending on the formation, for the formations we use, most of them, the number 2 wide receiver is going to be on the outside on the left. But as you can see in this formation, the dice wide flex, which is one that we do use pretty frequently, it is actually the number 1 wide receiver. So it varies from formation to formation. And honestly, you could do something like this where you just decide, I'm going to just flip my wide receivers. You can always use the wide receiver flip if you've only got 1 good wide receiver. Now in this case, I'd want Dez on the outside. But let's say I'm in this dice slot here and I want to get Dez over there. You could go halfback wide out. You could go wide receiver swap. Usually wide receiver swap is going to be your best bet. And other than that, that should handle your personnel and kind of what you're looking for. Like I said, a really good running back, a good quarterback. You need one really big wide receiver that can face catch. The other two, your second wide receiver, whether he's in the first or second slot, it'd be great if he can face catch, but it's definitely not a necessity. And then your slot wide receiver, as long as he can hold on to the ball, he's going to be just fine. And another sleeper stat for your wide receiver is look for dudes that can kind of block a little bit. I know in MUT, dudes like Demaryius Thomas and the bigger wide receivers can usually block, but sometimes you'll find a smaller guy that also has decent blocking. So that's pretty much that. Now, as far as the formations we're going to use, I will go over all of those now. We're going to use a couple plays out of the single back jumbo Z. And this is why I call it the super custom, because most people don't run this many plays, this many formations. But I really stress the point that depending on what kind of defense your opponent is running, you're going to have more success in other formations. You're going to have more success with certain runs, certain passing concepts, etc., etc. So I like to have a versatile arsenal of things we can use. And definitely the single back jumbo Z offers a couple little plays that are kind of cute, and we can mix those in. You can run the deuce a little bit if you want to. You know, there's a couple little decent plays in here, but for the most part, it's not part of the main scheme. But this halfback misdirection, definitely a very solid run. One we'll be talking about a little bit. Definitely a good run right there if you're in other playbooks. And then we'll be running some plays out of the single back deuce pair, as well as a lot of plays out of the dice slot. I really don't mess with the wide trip single back because I use the wide trips out of the pistol. Pistol, we use pistol ace. We use pistol ace twins. We use pistol bunch tight end. I don't really mess with the slot wing. There is a couple plays I use out of the wide trips that I like. And then definitely pistol trips heavy. For the gun, like I said, this isn't a main formation. This is kind of like the pistol ace of the gun. Sometimes I will run this formation, but more times than not, I don't. If I do go to this formation, I'm usually either going to run hitch corners, or I'm going to run a trap or inside zone or something along those lines. Not something I'm going to go to on a regular basis. But regularly, we're going to find ourselves in the wide trips halfback weak, the gun bunch weak, the snugs formation, as well as the dice Y flex. And then there's a couple plays I like here out of the empty Bronco. So those are all the formations we will be using in this scheme. I know it seems like a lot, but in some of the formations, we're really only going to use one or two plays, especially for some of the single back stuff. And then some of, you know, there's just a few formations, maybe 3 to 4, where we only use 1 or 2 plays within that formation, but at the same time, it's still important to have those types of things. Now, for this scheme, there's a couple face catches you're going to need to know. I will break down how to do those on the Madden Mastermind site. So if you want to learn how to do the face catches, there's a couple ways you can do it. You're going to want to know how to do the face catch on the left and on the right. And it's pretty easy to do. And then there's also another face catch or a spectacular catch animation that not too many people know about, but it is very nasty and it does make this scheme a heck of a lot tougher. So you're going to want to get that down as well, and I'll showcase it here. Like I said, if you want to learn how to do these, you just need to get yourself a free membership on MaddenMastermind.com, and I will show you how to do these catches. They are not difficult at all, especially that one right there. That one's super simple. But as far as spectacular catches and things like that, those are the main two you're going to need to know. Otherwise, everything else is just going to be about making reads and throwing dots. And I don't build my offense around the face catch. Our offense is built around the run and throwing dots. And then if your opponent is, you know, just sitting in cover 3 all game, not rushing anybody, then you can kind of just face catch them to death. Or if they're playing a bad defense for stopping the face catch, you can go and attack them that way. But if they're blitzing heavy, or, you know, they're running a defense where they're double and triple coveraging that wide receiver because they're worried about the face catch, we're definitely going to take advantage of it. And like I said, we want to take advantage of the face catch because it's just something your opponent has to worry about. You know, it limits to what they can do on defense. You know, no longer can they just sit in cover 3 all game long and give you that single coverage, because you can take advantage of it. Now, I've went over 10 minutes here, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. But like I said, we've covered the personnel, we've covered the formations we're going to use, we've covered the user catches that you're going to need to effectively run this scheme. And like I said, you will find more videos on my channel, so be sure to subscribe. You will find videos on the Madden Mastermind YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe over there. And again, get yourself a free membership to learn how to do the necessary user catches that are going to help you run not only this scheme, but any scheme in Madden. And it'll just take your offense to the next level, just being able to have some nice user sticks and, you know, some more catches that you can take advantage of. So that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to drop a like if you're going to enjoy this series. And like I said, I hope you do enjoy it, because it's what I'm running for the rest of the year. It's what I've been running for, you know, the last few months and been having a lot of success with. So that's going to do it, guys. Till the next time, it's your boy Monster Chappy. We gone.